Hello and good day, Ms. Zah. We are the presenters of Group 4, and today we will be discussing our statistic research wherein we identify the satisfaction of 11 SEM 2405 from the teaching quality of NU Fairview Senior High School teachers, as well as their scores on their first activity. Now, in this table, you can see that the data is organized in a way to identify the frequency and percentage of each category. As indicated, there are 5 students who seem to be very satisfied with the teaching quality of NU Fairview Senior High School teachers, and its percentage of it is 13.89. Now, the question is, how did we manage to get the percentage of it? Simple. First, we have to know the proportions of the data. With the formula frequency divided by the total number of respondents, it will be substituted as 5 divided by 36, with the answer being 0.13888 and so on. After that, we'll multiply it to 100 to finally get the percentage. So 0.13888 and so on times 100 will be 13.888888. With that, let's just round it up. And then the answer, or the percentage of it, will be 13.89%. You just have to repeat the process in order to identify the percentage of the other categories. Take note that the total percentage should always be 100%.
Now, in Table 3, here we can see the raw quantitative data gathered from the forms. These data represents the scores of each student in 11 STEM 2405 in Statistics and Probability Activity 1. So here in our slide, we can see the group frequency distribution table, which is calculated from the range and the class size, as well as the class interval. So we found the range by subtracting the highest value to the lowest value. We found the class size by using the Sturgis rule, and we used the class interval by using its formula. And we use these to find the group frequency distribution. So as you can see in the table, we have the intervals in our left column. So we have 0 to 3 and so on and so forth up to 24 to 27. And in our frequency, we basically counted the scores that is within these intervals. So if we have 6 people who scored between 0 to 3, then the 0 to 3 will have a frequency of 6 as seen in the table. So by using the method used earlier in the categorical frequency distribution, we'll be able to find the percentage of each interval. So that's basically dividing the frequency by the total n. So that's the group frequency distribution. It's a way to organize our quantitative data into a meaningful way. We will begin the analysis by analyzing the group frequency distribution. So here we have the chart 1, percentage distribution. So in chart 1, it's a line chart. So it displays the percentage distribution of the quantitative data in intervals. So we have 0 to 3, 4 to 7, so on and so forth, up to 24 to 27. And as you can see here, it basically presents the group frequency distribution in a chart. So in 0 to 3, we have 16.67% and so forth and so on, which corresponds correctly to our group frequency distribution. So our chart here is U-shaped, which means that students lie on the extreme ends of the graph. So we can basically group the class or the students into 2 distinct groups. So first is the group that is not able to pass the activity on time. So this group or these students lie on the left side of the chart. So and the other one is the students that performed well and they grasped the lesson well. So they basically lie on the right side of our graph. So basically this means that if we ignore the group that is not able to pass on time, we can see that the students who are actually able to answer got a pretty high score, wherein we will basically focus on the right side of the chart. So as you can see here, there's a lot of students who got high scores. So we can conclude that most students concentrated on the highest scores, and therefore 11 STEM 2405 performed well in our activity. Next, we can see the pie chart here, and the pie chart here is basically a result from the categorical frequency distribution. So chart 3 represents the satisfaction of 11 STEM 2405 in any Fairview's quality of teaching. So we can see that the orange slice, or the satisfied people or students, have the most or takes up the most of the pie chart. So which means that majority of students basically are satisfied with any Fairview's quality of teaching, which is followed by people or students that are very satisfied, and then people or students that are dissatisfied. So we can infer from this that majority of, or most of 11 STEM 2405 are honestly satisfied with NU Fairview's quality of teaching overall. So we can say that NU Fairview's teaching quality is great or is high. So that's our analysis of the data of our categorical frequency distribution. And now we move on to our last chart here. So here we go back in our quantitative data. So this is basically a normal distribution. So chart 4 here is basically the standard or the normal distribution curve of the activity scores. Now we must note that this is a mathematical model. So it's a theoretical model. So in our chart here we can see the activity scores and the likelihood as our axis. So basically, the higher the likelihood is, the higher a student will be able to get those activity scores. So here we can see that the highest one is around 19.5, which will be our mean. Okay, so we can say that if we compare this to our line chart earlier, we're basically comparing it from expectations versus reality. So expectations here is this one, the normal curve, and the reality is the line chart. So comparing the chart to the line chart, we can see that the actual distribution are concentrated more to the right of the mean, as more students are actually able to get higher grades. So this is why we don't usually trust this normal distribution curve, but it's a good way of predicting scores. So as you can see here, if we actually extend our scores from 24 to 37.5, we will also able to predict the student scores within them. Alright, so that's the analysis or the conclusion of the data we presented.